soft cover, where we launch some very interesting non-fiction books. My name is Yuthika Bhargav, and in today's episode, we will talk about a HarperCollins publication called Just Aspire, Notes on Technology, Entrepreneurship, and the Future. I have the book here with me. This is the book, and we have with us the author of this book, Mr. Ajay Chaudhary. Welcome, sir, and congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
Sir, to introduce Mr. Chaudhary, he is one of the 6 founding members of HCL, a company we all know very well, and he is regarded as father of Indian hardware. Sir, so congratulations again on the book, and we'll start with this interview with you telling us a bit about how did this book come about, why did you want to write it, and just brief our viewers a little bit about the book.
Well, basically, one day a few years ago, I was sitting with my grandson, and he suddenly said, why don't you tell me something about what you've done in your life? So I started narrating some anecdotes and stories, and over many days, I was telling him a few things. So at the end of the day, I thought, if I'm telling my grandchildren, why don't I tell everybody? That's how it all started. And then, of course, nobody had at all written anything about HCL. So I said, 72 years of my life, 36 years are HCL. I might as well write a little bit about HCL and a lot about myself.
Yes, it's a very interesting read, and that brings me to my next question. In the book, you have also mentioned that while HCL story, when it started, captured imagination of journalists and everyone, the tears and the toils that went behind, a lot of people did not talk about it. So what was the most challenging when you started out with HCL, and in that success story, just a glimpse into what were the most challenging aspects of it?
Well, actually, when we started, there was nothing called startups those days. So it was really starting off from nothing. And the initial stages were very tough because there was no angels or VCs or any of these things. So getting funding was a very major challenge. So the 6 of us just put together some money from here and there, and all that we could put together was about 1.86 lakhs. And we wanted to start a computer company because our dream was to take the microprocessor, which had just appeared, and convert that into a computer. And at that particular stage, if you wanted to make anything in India, you needed a license. So it was the license Raj days. So neither did we have the money nor the license. But we still decided to start. And the initial stages, 1 year, we basically did some marketing of products that we picked up from various brands like Televista. And we started to market calculators. And then from there, we created some funds. And in the meantime, kept looking for a license. And then we realized that licenses are only given to large companies. And a startup like ours are not going to get a license easily. So then we spotted an opportunity. We found that certain state governments had been given licenses. And one of the state governments that had a computer manufacturing license was UP. So we approached them and said, why can't we join hands? We've come out of DCM. We've created the electronics business for DCM. And we were the top 5-6 people there. And why can't we just join hands and create something together? And that's how the idea of Hindustan Computers Limited was born. And it became a joint sector undertaking with 26% owned by the UP government and the balance owned by us. And those days, if you wanted the name Hindustan, that was also given to large companies or government companies. But since we were joint sector, we said, why not call ourselves Hindustan? And the moment you call yourself Hindustan, you'll look larger than life. And it became a nice marketing strategy. So that's how we actually started. And once we became Hindustan Computers, the UP government itself gave us some loans from their own finance company. And that's how we all got started.
Sir, how has your life changed after HCL?
Well, actually, it's become more interesting because in my mind, your first innings, you do a lot of the same stuff.
Okay.
And although within HCL, I created close to about 10, 12 different businesses, at the end of so many 36 odd years, it became a bit of a chore, because we were a listed company. You are living quarter by quarter, results every quarter, hell of a thing. So I said, let me get off the treadmill. And that's when I told Shiv Nadar, I said, look, I want to go out now. I've done enough work. Let me do something different. And that's how I started my next innings.
So you're also investing in startups now, mentoring them. How
Yeah.
has startup ecosystem changed since the time you started HCL and now? How easy or difficult is it now?
Well, actually, it was very, very tough then, because as I said, there was nothing called startup then, and the government had no idea what a startup meant. Now the situation is quite different. When you have a very aggressive Startup India program by the government, there are so many incentives available for startups. There's so much support available in terms of incubators and mentors. And also angels and VCs are there to actually provide you funding. So I think that whole ecosystem is phenomenal today as compared to what it was there. There it was nothing. Now it's a very, very vibrant ecosystem available to startups, and any people who have a great idea and a great team can definitely get started and be successful.
So, sir, what are the areas that you find interesting in startups now that you are investing in or would want to continue investing in? One of the areas you have mentioned in the book is space. So if you could elaborate on that and other sectors that interest
You see, actually, I joined when I left HCL. I joined Indian Angel Network as a board member. So as a result of that, I get to see all kinds of startups, because thousands of startups write into Indian Angel Network, and then we sort of shortlist and invest in about 20, 30 a year. So that's the benefit that I have, is that I get very good deals that come to me. And from those, I decide which ones I like. And I'm not very specific about sectors at all. It could be a quick service restaurant. It could be a software technology company. It could be a space company, and could be any segment. So I'm not particular about any segments. Yes, space is a very special area for me, because I've been fascinated with space from very early days, as you would have read my book. You see, at one stage, I used to think I was the only guy who could fly on my own. So those are the kind of dreams I had those days.
But are you working with any startup in space right now? You had this dream about working something related to moon.
Yeah, actually, I had invested in a company about 5-6 years ago, which was participating in the Google Moonshot program. And there they had said that if any startup can create a rover that can go to the moon and move around there, they would have a $1 million award. So an Indian company also joined that race, and many companies from all over the world joined that race, many startups. Frankly, the support available at that particular time from ISRO was not that good. So they did not encourage and give a special incentive for the startup to actually take the rover in a moonshot and put it on the moon. So since ISRO did not agree, that whole project fell apart. But as a matter of fact, all over the world, that particular project never happened. But I ended up investing in them. I ended up mentoring them, talking to them, encouraging them for many, many years.
Okay. So,
and then later on, recently through Indian Angel Network, I have invested in a beautiful company called Dhruva out of Hyderabad. And they have actually made satellites, and they've actually put out 2 satellites in October, November.
Okay. Oh, great. So you've also touched upon AI and whether or not it poses existential threat for us. And recently we saw a group of industry executives, including Elon Musk, they pitched that, any further development in AI or research should stop for at least 6 months and there should be some standards. What is your take on that
I
topic?
actually, that's what I also wrote in my book, because I was very concerned that AI could actually become a real threat to humanity. And with the coming up of Chat GPT, etc., it looks very, very dangerous to me. So I think this whole idea of creating a framework and creating regulation is essential, because we need to ensure that the bad guys don't get the AI that they should not get. And it should be actually meant to help humankind rather than, become a threat at all. It can just go off so badly that it could be dangerous. So I think a 6 month break would be a good break, and regulation should come up in every country, including India, so that we could actually have a situation where we could control it. Imagine AI in the hands of China. Imagine AI in the hands of North Korea. These are all places where it could actually impact the whole world.
Sir, but is it actually possible to, kind of limit the development in AI and, sort of create walls around it?
It's going to be very tough, because at the end of the day, it's like an autonomous car. It will go on its own, right? So early days, when people were talking about operating systems which were autonomous, which were put in space, they could do things on their own. So, they have a mind of their own. So those are the kind of things that we have to watch out for. So I'm not that technically inclined to understand how this could be done, but I think there are ways to do it, by which some kind of regulations can be put, so that the products that come out have some boundaries beyond which it cannot go.
Got it. Sir, another thing that you have talked about in your book is about hardware manufacturing and achieving depth in hardware manufacturing, and how currently we don't have many Indian players left as far as mobile manufacturing at least is concerned. So just from an India point of view, where do you think we are headed? Now we have a lot of manufacturing schemes that the government has introduced. Do you think we still have chance to reclaim manufacturing? Where do you see us heading in there?
Well, actually, my last chapter talks about my vision for electronics, and let me just elaborate that. Fundamentally, I've worked on this whole area for close to 30, 40 years, and I've been relentlessly working to tell the government that electronics is a very essential piece that the government must pay attention to. And I was the one who actually wrote that line many years ago to say, at some stage, the electronics import bill will be higher than the oil bill. And it's turned out to be a reality, because the kind of imports that we have today are too big. So finally, in the last 4 to 5 years, the new government came up with much better strategies for encouraging manufacturing. So PLI schemes were the first ones that came up to increase the manufacturing of mobiles and all kinds of electronic products in India. Now, what has really happened in this whole situation is that all that we are doing at this moment is more of assembly with less value addition. So I think there has to be a push towards much higher value addition, so that people will actually start to genuinely manufacture in India on a long-term basis. It should not be that when the schemes are there, various global companies come, they invest, and then when the schemes are over, they go away to the next best country where there is, schemes. So what is our benefit as a country? Our benefit as a country is that we have a very large domestic market. So when there was a big discussion going on 10 years ago, saying that China plus one, everybody wanted to see whether they could diversify from China and have another location which would be much better to go to. Vietnam seized that opportunity and became the China plus one. And they created fantastic infrastructure and created capability to manufacture electronics in a very big way. Now, today, if you look at the last 3 years, things have changed quite a lot. Geopolitically, nobody really wants to just keep on buying everything from China. So there is a trust deficit with China. Now, what has China achieved in the last 15, 20 years? What they have achieved is they've become the center of product design and manufacturing. And this happened due to their close relationship with Taiwan. Taiwan helped them to become a product nation for hardware. Now, because of this new geopolitical situation, I believe there is a great opportunity for India to step in and become a hardware nation by designing products and manufacturing in India and adding value through design. And once you start designing products in India, naturally you'll buy components from India, you'll buy batteries from India, you'll buy skins from India, and more and more products, components will be bought in India. So value addition in India will increase. Now, if you look at a little future, 4 to 5 years future, and the new semiconductor policy that has come up, which is fantastic. Due to that semiconductor policy, you will have fabs in India in 4 to 5 years. Okay. Now, who's going to be the customer of those fabs? No Indian brands are around to buy from India. So it's a big disaster that is staring at us, because China has literally converted India to a colony. And all Chinese brands have taken over Indian brands. So last year, a few of us got together and we set up a foundation called EPIC. And that's something that we have created. Our whole objective is to bring back old Indian brands, get products designed in India, create more brands, and help make India a product nation. So that's the long answer to a very short question from you, but that's really what's happened.
Sir, but I'll add a little bit to it. Do you think that Indian domestic players can still make a comeback? Because have they lost all the advantage, or there is still a chance that they can make a comeback?
That is where the government itself has to play a role. Because if the government can play a role in creating a PLI scheme, they also created a PLI scheme for telecom recently.
Yeah.
And in that, they added a certain percentage for design in India. So actually, what is missing in the current PLI scheme is that they have not incentivized design. So if they incentivize design and add that into every PLI scheme in the country, whether that's electronics or non-electronics, I think it will benefit the whole country. So that is my suggestion number one, to change this whole thing. And the suggestion number two is that we should now identify close to 100 to 500 products that we import into the country, electronic products. After identifying them, we should create an incentive scheme by which these are designed in India we can get startups to do a whole bunch of this work. And if startups can be incentivized to design these products in India and then manufacture in India, then we would have a very, very interesting opportunity to replace China as a product nation. So I have actually created a paper on this, white paper, which I have then socialized with the government. So I have met DST, I've met MeitY, I've met DPIIT, all the departments. And the interesting part is that MeitY has accepted this. And they've recently appointed a task force to actually work towards creating India as a product nation.
Okay.
And I'm part of that task force.
Sir, and also you are part of, you have been pitching for semiconductors for quite a while, and you just mentioned that India got a semiconductor policy. So even that roadmap, do you think, India is a little late in semiconductors, and can we still catch up? How is our policy good?
Well, actually, we are very late in semiconductors, but we are a very large country. And therefore, we cannot be dependent on others for semiconductors. Because if you look at something that I've written in my book, there was an intelligence senator in America, and he made a statement. He says, tomorrow's wars will be fought with semiconductors. Now, can you escape that? You have to have semiconductors. So therefore, the good part is that the government has realized that we don't need to have the latest semiconductors. We need to have higher nodes, as they are called. So we don't want to get into the most expensive part of semiconductors. We need to be in the most reasonable part of semiconductors, where 28 nanometers and above is what we need. And I think that policy which the government has come up is very attractive. is the world's most attractive policy. And hopefully we should see some very good announcements from the government in the next few weeks.
Sir, why do you say it's the most attractive policy?
Because, we are literally going to spend 50% of the investment from the central government and another 20% from some state governments.
Okay.
So, if you are going to invest $5 billion into making a plant, out of that 70% is being paid by the government. While there is no other country in the world that is paying more than 30-40%.
Got it. So in the book, you have also mentioned that you are an avid reader yourself. You have read so many autobiographies. You have met so many interesting people, from Bill Gates to everybody. So, one interaction that you could tell us, or one autobiography that stayed with you.
I'd like to talk about my fascination with the future. So the book that I read many years ago is called Singularity. And it is written by Ray Kurzweil. So Ray Kurzweil is a futurologist. And I had met him many, many years ago. Then one day, me and my wife, we were invited to Bill Gates' home. And we were going in a little ship that there was there on the Washington River. And we were going to his home. And I just spotted this gentleman standing in one corner. And I walked up to him and I said, "Are you Ray Kurzweil?" He said, "Yeah." So I said, "I have admired you for so many years. It's such a great pleasure to meet you here today." So then we started chatting and, we started discussing about the whole idea of singularity. And I'll explain that. And then interestingly, he said, "I've just written a book and the story work that I'm doing is on how to live forever." So I was very fascinated. I said, "What are you trying to say here?" So he said, "I'll give you a pre-release copy of the book." And he wrote this book with a MD. And their whole idea was that the body is a chemical factory. And you need to ensure that the chemicals in the factory are perfect every day. So he took out a little bag and it had 60 pills in it. And he was having 60 pills a day. And he was changing his blood every weekend. Now, that's just one part of the story which happened. But his seminal work that he has done is that he talks about that every change that is going to happen is not just going to be linear, but exponential. Okay, what that means is that the growth rates of anything will be much more faster than anything that you've seen. And through that route, he believes that singularity will be achieved by 2047. Now, what does singularity mean? Singularity means that in a very simple way, means that the computer will overtake the brain. Okay. And that's when singularity will be achieved. And if singularity gets achieved, then you can imagine what the world will be like. Now, he predicted that this will happen in 2047 in his seminal book called The Singularity. But today, with GPT coming in, we might see it much earlier. And we might see some interesting things like this happen, like where he talks in this book about nanobots entering the body. Now, nanobots will enter the body and cure any disease. So imagine a life when 10, 15, 20 years later, you could actually be living forever because you will not have any disease. So he talks a lot about these kind of issues, and it just fascinates me to see what future will be like. I don't think I will see that future, but all of you will see that future.
Sir, hopefully you will too. We'll see what happens. Great, sir. That is all the time we have today. But before we go, I would like to ask if, since music is such a big part of your life, so would you want to sing something for us before we leave?
Okay, let me think about it. हम बेखुदी में तुम को पुकारे
चले गए हम बेखुदी में तुम को पुकारे चले गए हम देखा कि ये तुम्हें हम बन के नजारा देखा कि ये तुम्हें हम बन के नजारा उतरा जो नशा सो हमने ये जाना शीशे में आपको ही उतारे चले गए.
Thank you so much, sir. That was wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay,
And
thank you.
congratulations once again for the book.
Thank you so much. Okay,
Thank you.
bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.